concerned you two aren't taking this seriously.
What is up, everybody? Jeff from Sons and Shadows podcast, joined as always by my co-host Kevin. We're back for another round of Special Unit 2 Badassery with Season 2. Only ran about 13 episodes, then it finally met its end. It ran its course for Season 2. And Kevin, what did you think of this go-around?
Well, at first, I didn't like it. I did not like, say, maybe the first 5 minutes of episode 201. And that was because of Jonathan. And that is to no discredit to the actor, but I didn't care for the lack of Sean. And that took me off guard. But say after like that, I had a lot of fun. And then by the end, I didn't understand why this season was even more fun than the first. Why did it have to go? I know we say that at the end of every season, but why did it have to go?
Well, as typical, UPN and Fox, they all have the same spiel. Low ratings, growing cost of expense for the TV show, yada, yada, yada. Ultimately, I think it was just a change in management, and they wanted to shift more towards like other programming. And this just didn't fit in their formula for what they really wanted on UPN, which is unfortunate. But Evan Katz, Joel Cerno, John Kretschmer, they all provided a fantastic show for 2 solid seasons. But like you, the move to Vancouver, the changing of Jonathan from Sean, there was a bit of a disconnect. I mean, ultimately you get used to the new set, the new lobby, the overall feels a little more polished. It definitely feels like the budget got increased. Everybody's actually a little bit in a more like makeup. I know the first episode, Alexondra looked like she had a very nice tan from a great vacation, which was super funny. But like the big change was ultimately they recast Sean's role for Jonathan. And like you said, no disrespect to John, Jonathan did fine. Ultimately, his character becomes a pretty good member of the cast, but it takes a few episodes for him to even start getting anywhere with this crew because we got so used to the first season and Sean fit like a glove. It's going to take some getting used to. You just got to find your way with it again. By the end of the season, Jonathan was fitting in very well.
Explain, Jonathan?
With a little less excitement.
I can't help it if I like what I do.
I like what I do too, but I don't vibrate in place.
Back on the point, Jonathan. O'Malley.
He was able to contribute just as well to the show as everybody else did.
I offer you my heartiest praise without qualification.
It took a while to get there, and I feel if we had another 9 episodes to round out for a full season of 22 episodes, I think at that point his character would have been even better. So I look at the first season as a great setup. It's great in its own right. You don't even have to watch this season. But this season's also really fucking good too. You just got to get used to a couple changes, but everything else stays relatively the same. Just a little different casting and locations, and everybody just looks a little bit prettier.
Yes. And going back to what you were saying before, Carl also looked like he'd come back from a great vacation, like super duper tan. And I was like,
yeah,
oh my goodness. Okay.
It was sunny days in LA.
Kinda, and then they got to Vancouver.
Yep. I mean, they still had like the subway looking like headquarters set, but they definitely, you could tell like there's enough change going on. Like I liked some of the artistry of the first set.
I did too. There was so much to love about the first set. There's so much to love about the first season. But in a way, I feel like that with the move and with the upgrade, that a lot of it was an upgrade. To your point, the cheapness of the first set was its charm, I think. Like it really was. This is the shithole that we get stuck in.
Yeah.
And it looked like something like the old pneumatic transit station would look like.
This is very true.
And for the kids at home playing, that's not a real train station. That's from Ghostbusters 2.
Yep. Without all the pink goo.
Hopefully not. Like it's Oh, never mind. That's going to be a whole political joke that no one's going to want to. It doesn't hold up anymore. I like the new set. I really like the new set.
Yeah.
But yes, the cheapness of the old station looked authentic, and it made it more fun, and it felt like Chicago did.
Yeah,
Or
like it could get a bit dingy and gritty, and like you are getting stuck in a little corner away from everybody else.
yes.
You're in
Which
the
is still
basement
cool.
job now, buddy. Desk duty.
Desk duty. I love that they did not lose the actual police department division feel. Like they are still a division of the Chicago PD. They
Right.
have to answer to the commissioner, which is funny that the commissioner knows about Special Unit 2.
Yep, and it still exerts authority over the regular PD, which is a continuing gag that just never gets old. At least they don't hit it up too often. It's just every once in a while, just to remind everybody, like, yeah, they take over crime scenes. They're in charge when they show up.
Special Unit 2 lives in a world where the line between possible and impossible is frequently vague.
Yes, and even better, they enjoy taking over the crime scenes. It's like a game for them because they know the beat cops and the detectives are going to get pissed off because all their hard work that they just did is about to get tossed out the fucking window.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, thank you for doing all the legwork for us. We're gonna clean up here and bring in the perp within the next 40 minutes.
Well, you kind of have to wonder how many times does just happens to be mentioned in the writer's room where one set of cops has already taken over this crime. This is a regular ass crime, but Special Unit 2 takes it over because it just happens to be a scarecrow.
Or an ogre, which when you get to that particular episode, they put a nice little spin on, hey, we're taking this case away from the detective, unless the detective was also a link and up to his own little nefarious schemes to keep everybody distracted so he could figure out how to fix his current problem. And poor Benson was all gaga eyes over him. It's like, oh girl, you have a type. And there it is.
She does. Dumb, weak bastard is usually it. This guy was different. The
Yeah, as
doctor
opposed
was
to the first episode where she's all getting all slutty and trying to hit on some poor little guy and whip him into shape.
That led me to a question, considering Kate's wardrobe. Between the outfit that Megan borrowed from her, that had the boobies going up to the chin and the skirt going up to the butt cheeks. This skirt it went up to the butt cheeks, and then it had straps for the knickers, but there were no knickers. And golly, can you get HPV from sharing clothes like that? Because
I don't know. She could whip me into shape anytime.
it looked tasty.
She looks
goodness.
so good. Like, she's beautiful to begin with, but you put her in an outfit like that, and it's like, whew, boy, I'm gonna need a shower after this one.
You're easy. 5 minutes into the date and she's already got your clothes off.
What's he doing there?
Being helpful. Theoretically. I'm just glad he said it, not me.
That's my role in life.
Oh, sure. And this TV show, bless it for what it is expletive as fuck. Like, they are so about, hey, you know what? Let's use funny ass catchphrases that are pretty dirty, and we're all going to dress pretty sexy. We have a sexy looking cast. We're going to dress them all pretty sexy.
And there's nothing wrong with sexy in science fiction. It's gone hand in hand for years. Nothing's changed. Just might get a little risque for other people, but this was on UPN. It didn't get that risque, although there was plenty of girls running around in bras and panties in some episodes.
God, the parasite.
I'm talking about the Scarecrow episode where the girls were having like they're doing their nails and their toes and everything, and they were in their like pajamas and whatnot.
I'm sitting there laughing because I wasn't sure, like, Was he trying to get their attention and they're just too dumb? And was he trying to get the dude's attention who was just too horny? So he was like, 2 birds, 1 stone. I got this car. Like, he was just cool as hell. I liked the Scarecrow. Like, when you have to see like intense makeup work on one of the links, that was one of the better episodes. So it's like the Scarecrow was epic. The Ogre was epic. Arnie was absolutely epic. Arnie was like a
Arnie.
nesting egg filled with nightmare fuel.
Well, it was basically Barney on crack if he was a missing link creature.
Sure. And when he takes off his mask and you see the older mask underneath it that looks like it's maybe 10, 15 years old and could have been a kidnap victim. It just kept getting scarier. And you're like, wow, that's really disturbing. And then it takes that mask off. And Jesus Christ, it's worse than the Goblin. Like it was beautiful looking. It was disgusting and horrid, but it was beautiful looking.
Yeah, a lot of the practical effects work was completely amazing in this show, and it carried from the first season and into this season. And I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Patrick Tatopoulos is one of the people named and credited as one of the creature designers. And if I could find my artwork around here, I have some sketches that people that are not on the internet that I'd like to get scanned and share with everybody, but I'm having a hard time finding half of my old graphic work and also some of the stuff that I've had for years that I'd like to share with everybody. So if you stay tuned to our social medias, we'll get those uploaded as needed. I actually have one of the little Arnie plushies, and I showed Kevin this recently because I just came back from a trip to Wisconsin, and it was one of my items that I've had for years that Evan Katz and Kama had sent to me many years ago with a note saying thank you for all my work at the time, because I was doing reviews, I was doing like a newsletter. Like I said, I'm trying to find like half this stuff, and I'm still struggling to find some of it, but when I do, I will get that all uploaded. But I have an actual prop Arnie plushie from one of the kids in the show. They only had like 2 of them, and I got 1 of them, so that ain't leaving them until the day I die.
That's friggin' awesome.
Yep,
Sucks
love
that I
that.
have to kill you for it, but that's friggin' awesome.
Well, super great people worked on this show. Super appreciative of. I have nothing but nice things to say about basically everybody, from my interactions from years ago to I wish we could have brought some of them on this show. It's okay. It's all good. If we ever get reached out to, or anybody does finally catch the messages that we sent to them, you are still more than welcome to join us at any time. Just to gab about the show or anything else. So open invitation.
That's true, because there's a couple other shows that I would love to talk to them about that I think might have been a little inkwell for this show. And I know we talked about one of them last week. The most obvious one was Kolchak. Ghostbusters. Joe Straczynski's take on a lot of the myths for Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Really kind of plays out in this as well. And it'd be very curious. I don't want anyone to hear a Saturday morning cartoon being like, no, we did not take from that. Because if that's your take on it, I apologize. It was a fantastic cartoon that was written very smart, that tricked kids into learning mythology. And golly, this reminds me a lot of it.
Oh, absolutely. And they pulled from some great source material, and they put their own little stamps and twists on it. So it never feels like it's ripping off anything. It feels like it's borrowing and then making it its own thing, which is something television and film has been doing for years upon years upon years. It's when it feels like it's a straight carbon copy of something that you're like, that doesn't really work for me. It doesn't really work for a lot of people. So when you put your own stamp on it, at least you're seeing a little bit of creativity going on with, hey, how can we make that work for this particular episode and the arc we're putting our characters on? It really helps drive the narrative through basically all the episodes, even the secondary link characters, like going to Denver to speak to a gremlin in a car about how to find the Zavar that's trying to kill the Nemertine, or the cherub guy. Who's Willie Carson, which, Kevin, if you recognize that voice, he was in the very first episode. He was one of the gargoyles.
Oh, okay. Okay,
And
yeah.
Willie, awesome dude. Shout out to him.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. This show never ceased to amaze. Like, to your point, when they would get you going, and again, it did not feel cookie cutter, but they stuck to certain recipes for stories. Like, I don't know, gnomes. They're silly, crazy creatures. They're magical. They're this and they're that. Carl's a kleptomaniac. They'll twist shit on top of its head. And it's usually like, you know how people say 9 out of 10 times something is this? When they twist something on its head, when they swerve the actual legend, it's that 10th time. And it's not only exciting, but it's funny to boot because you don't really expect it. Like, you know, something is going to come at some point within
Where's the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah. Like the genie, that was normal.
Oh, yeah.
The Pied Piper was fairly normal. The merman taking the the virgin still. Anyway, that was totally opposite. I liked the swerves. I liked the swerves when they came around.
Absolutely. And credit to the writing staff and being able to keep doing that over the course of basically 19 episodes and keeping it fresh and not feeling like, oh God, it's Monster of the Week episode again. That's the construct of the show. It's how they build the storylines around that. And so none of the episodes all feel the same. They mix it up just enough to where it always feels fresh and fun and keep you wanting to tune in every single week. And now, unfortunately, with the binge model, like if you have this online on YouTube or archive.org, just check our links in the description below. It's where you can find this show. Or if you want to try and search for those DVDs, which I recently found out are now out of print and overpriced on eBay. So absolutely check our links below for links to the show on YouTube. Some of them are long, and they're rips from like Sci-Fi Channel. It's fine. It still works. You could still hear and see the show just fine. You know, it's unfortunate, but like the binge model, you can burn through a bunch of these episodes in one sitting and you don't feel like you wasted your time at all. It rewards you for your investment into the show constantly. And they give you like tidbits to like Benson's past with her high school reunion episode. We have anger management with Nick in an episode. We have Nick talking about his first partner getting killed in an episode. They actually address a bunch of different things. Even Captain Page, he likes Diana Ross. He likes to go camping and fishing and snagging Carl along just to make sure the place stays cleaned. So there's constantly things for all of the characters and all of the episodes to get into. Even Jonathan gets a little romantic interest at the very end, and she comes back for a second episode. I think she was going to be sticking around based on how the final episode ended.
Yes, it very much seemed that way with the final scene of the family or the team.
You know, the cast was growing, and Kevin mentioned he was enjoying a particular blonde who joined the show very early on.
You know, personally, I like a guy that's a little snap, crack, pop. But I've always had a thing for bad boys.
Oh, Polly.
Alice Kramer, the character that Polly Perrette.
She is so awesome in like any show that she's in. And I totally like recognized her the moment you see her. I just didn't recognize her with blonde hair.
Yeah.
And it's like, I keep seeing this smile and like this excited banter. It's like, I know this person. I know her. That's
You
not her
recognize
hair.
the voice, like no problem.
Absolutely, because she has that Abby energy.
Yeah.
Only without the super gulp. And then just like totally stressed out come the end.
Yep, and she felt like the job was too stressful, so she joined the presidential campaign because it would be less stress. I loved her in this show. I don't honestly know if like, I know we were coming to the very end and that was probably the last that she could appear at that time anyway. So that was probably their way of writing her out just in case whatever she was coming up with next, if they had gotten renewed. It probably gave them a little option on she could disappear for like just a few months, because if she was just going to be doing public relations, she very well could just do the election, come right back. Like she could come back by the end of the next season or beginning of the next season or whatever. You know, it's too bad we never got any more, but I think she would have come back again. Because she looked like she was having a blast just like everybody else. And her addition to the cast was immediate and it was awesome. I thought she added something a little extra of like, well, how do they deal with the press? How do they deal with the fallout from all these crimes? You send in her to do basically damage control.
There's absolutely no reason to panic. There was just a toxic chemical spill, a small one inside the museum. Solvents used to restore artwork. That's all.
Is there any danger to the public?
On the record, the official position is people have nothing to worry about.
How about off the record?
Well, we'll just pray that the wind doesn't change.
And I love how she keeps suggesting to people, haven't you guys ever heard of like mass hysteria or mass suggestion? Yeah.
The drinks. We're drinking. There's a lot of drinking involved.
And she'll totally start to fuck with them with mass hysteria.
The only time she really didn't have to do anything was in that Native American episode with the dragon. And basically the princess was just like, you know what? No, I'm not telling anybody that this was real because that would kill my legal career and screw that. So I'm keeping my mouth shut. So don't worry about me. You didn't have to swoon her over to convince her not to say nothing.
Yeah, and they were all surprised about it too, like happily. So like, well, all right then. We'll just call off Alice.
Yep. All she needed was a bottle of wine, some chocolate, and a bath. Sold.
Pretty much.
Yep.
I still can't believe she dug up her grandmother, albeit great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, to take off her stones out of that necklace. I mean, I know they needed the money, but ew. Grave robbery is a nasty
But
deal.
cemetery rules, bro.
I guess, like, didn't you ever, like, see Poltergeist? I don't know. Amityville?
That's a bad idea, messing with Indian burial grounds, yo.
Mm-hmm. Catch them, kill them. It's a bad thing.
Yep. It's like a catch and release sort of deal, so.
I will say this about that, though. The special effects, even the top-notch CGI, was much better than last season. That dragon kicked ass.
Yeah, the dragon was pretty good. I mean, it was not up to, like, say, today's standards, like, at all, but it was an improvement over the first season. So it looked like they got in with a pretty good special effects house, and they did some really good work. And I felt like, especially during like the boogeyman scene where he's running around invisible and they turn on the sprinklers through the yards and suddenly he becomes visible. I'm like, that's dope. That's a great freaking idea. And they made it look really awesome.
Oh, somebody at Naughty Dog was watching this and going, oh, I have an idea, when they were writing God of War 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That is. Isn't that the Helios fight scene? Or is that somebody else? Or Herm? No.
That's Perseus, where he throws on the helmet. Yeah, he puts on the helmet and turns invisible.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm already getting like the names confused from that game. But, oh, well.
We digress, as is our gig. But, oh, God, you talked about the boogeyman. I had something else that was... Oh, the Sandman was so simply done, but looked like he was going to start brutally falling away. I liked him.
Yep.
Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. Even for not being up to today's standards, the CGI was still prettier than what you'd expect to see at the time. Especially like where the genie would turn into gas. It was nice and pretty golden, vibrant color.
Well, she was doing the Nightcrawler special effects when she was having her fight with Nick, which was pretty dope to see that in like TV form.
Yes. And again, not cheaply done. Like these weren't piss poor stunts. It wasn't piss poor CGI. It was, and forgive me, sorry, not sorry, way better than Deep Rising. Like so much better than Deep Rising.
You don't look convinced.
I'm convinced. Are you convinced? I'm convinced.
Fuck off. I'll tell your wife about that strip club you went to.
I was such a failure in high school for my first, when I turned 18 and my friends wanted to take me to a strip club, and my girlfriend's like, I don't care. Totally tossed me under the bus because I was like, you guys, I'm not going to go to a titty joint. I got a girlfriend. She's sitting right here. And she's sitting there eating lunch and like doesn't even look up from her sandwich. She's like, I could give two shits. It's like, thanks, Karen. Fucker.
I'll take a lap dance.
How long?
The rest of the day.
The rest of the day?
Yeah, that's right.
You are my hero.
Okay, that's it. I'm coming in.
Oh man, that just reminds me of that reunion episode. I was gonna be like, so you got any bad memories from high school?
Several.
We don't have to discuss any of them. Just asking. Because I got plenty of my own too. But I never ruined our graduation ceremony, so I can at least say that.
Oh well, no.
And I believe the statute of limitations is exceeded.
Is that only 7 years now?
7 or 10.
Yeah, fuck it then.
Yeah. Let's set off some alarms and have them ring for a day.
Shit. So I've talked about Ghostbusters a couple times, and I do that because I want to warm people up to what I'm going to say next.
Oh no. Oh shit.
As much as I enjoy wasting my precious hours listening to your endless banter.
Yeah, so all you pansies who just discovered paganism like last week, kiss my ass. John Delancey playing Sam Hain was the coolest shit that I have ever fucking seen on TV. Say what you will about Q. It's pronounced Samhain. No, on Ghostbusters, it's pronounced Sam Hain, and that's who I'm fucking talking about, and that's who he was supposed to be. So, bite my butt. Go discover Ghostbusters. Anyway, I loved him. I loved how they kept him to that character, but did not give him that name. It was not necessary, but so very much obvious. And he wanted his key back that gave him the power to control all the links. So, in a way, it was kind of like Soren as well.
Oh, yeah.
But whatever Delancey does can give you the fucking willies, even if it's a hostage situation with zombies.
Oh yeah, and he's played such a great bad guy. Like, there's a reason why he got typecast for freaking years. And then you watch him in Legend, and it's like, man, it doesn't feel right him playing a good guy. But like, there was intentions. I do remember this from a few years back that if the show had been renewed, he was going to be coming back. His character was not dead. They left those things unresolved for a reason. They made you think it was partially resolved, but all they ever said was, we can't find him. He just vanished. No evidence of anything. And so he was going to be coming back probably for the final episode, I'm thinking, or final 2. But of course, we never got there. But there was an intention to bring him back for continuing that story. I think he only wanted to come back for 1 or 2 episodes, though. He was pretty busy at that time.
Sure. And expensive, I'm sure.
Yes.
But that would have been the end to that story arc. So yeah, I'm sure it probably would have been just 1, maybe 2. If it would have been 2, it would have been a 2-part episode, probably.
That's my thinking. And then, or end the last episode with like a cliffhanger going into a season 3.
Yeah, because you know how they used to do. Goddamn cliffhangers.
Well, this is also like on UPN, they did this shit like all the time on final episodes for their shows. From Voyager to 7 Days. It was cliffhanger endings for almost all their shows. except for like say like Legend or anything that had a normal like 13 episode run didn't really get the cliffhangers. And to the show's credit, they did not let this show end on a cliffhanger. They left it in a pretty decent spot.
No, they kind of ended it as they would any other episode, but kind of happily. God forgive me, like the end of Lethal Weapon 4. We're family, like, you know, even though it ends with, you know, O'Malley and Carl beating the bag off of each other, which is their favorite thing to do.
Yep, beat the shit out of each other unless, hey, oh shit, we got to take care of something. And then Carl gets in one more cheap shot at the end.
Oh, but God, the fact
they
that
got him with the cake though for his birthday.
His ex-wife.
You said it was his wife. I don't think that was his ex-wife though.
It wasn't?
No.
Oh, I thought that was the name of his ex-wife from the previous episode that was looking for him, and he was like, I'm gonna move to Guam.
Well, she was trying to hook up with his best friend.
Oh, that's right. Wanted
Yeah.
to rub it in.
Yep. And so he's like, yeah, whatever at that point. But no, this was somebody else. They didn't really explain who or what she was, but they got a girl and a cake for his birthday.
Some type of girl with this just the most amazingly like sculpted face of golly,
Like
she looked up
Piggy jacked up on like liposuction and injections in her lips with stuff, you know.
Yeah, like you know the upgrade that they did to Return of the Jedi where they were singing Jedi Rock.
Oh god.
Kind of reminded me of the lady that was singing Jedi Rock there. I was like, that's off-putting. Maybe that's why.
Well, it could be worse. It could have been Yub Nub.
Yub Nub. Dip.
Oh my god.
Everyone at home just started like rage driving and hitting cars. I hate that fucking song.
This show is so funny. I like all the lines. Some of them are like they actually pulled from like other commercials that if you know from like the 80s and the 90s. So like they had like this one for MasterCard, like, you know, this is X amount of money, this is X amount of money, but beating the shit out of this person, priceless. Oh no, it was Captain Page. He was talking about the bill for like the Dragon episode, like
One specially outfitted mobile command vehicle, $172,000. Custom weaponry and ordnance, $211,000.
Watching Carl squirm in pain, priceless.
There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Is that perhaps another proud non-sponsor?
Proudly not sponsored by MasterCard.
It's nowhere near where we are.
Yep.
Or anywhere where we're going to be. I don't know how that should have gone.
Hosting our podcast. Thousands of dollars. No, I'm kidding.
Thousands of dollars.
Come on, MasterCard. We know you want to sponsor us. Don't charge us.
Call us. Don't charge us.
I'll do a chargeback, you bastards.
How about something a little extra on all the extra VR games that I buy on the PSN? Come on now.
Yep. Come on. Slip us a few. Hey, we'll be like Carl. You could just throw the money on the ground. We'll scoop it up if somebody starts shooting up the place. We'll be good.
This kind of show, I don't want to detract too much more than I commonly do. I don't want to say this show would make for a great VR game. This show would make for a great video game in general, like an RPG type game. Point and click, having to go through and find evidence. I love the aspect of this show that it is a cop show.
Yeah, a little bit of an ensemble cop show. Because even Captain Page gets out and he does some legwork from time to time.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden there's big ass monsters.
Yep.
Like I said, just so happens to be.
And they all look freaking phenomenal. Great work. Oh man, I know I gush about that, but I can never get over that because if you can't deliver on a unique looking monster and make it effective, well, then what the hell are you doing? You're just putting out just some cheap ass show then. So if you're not going to go all in on it, then what are you doing? And they clearly went all in on this show.
The only time I would, oh gosh, I don't even want to say argue, but just to say a little bit against that, where they didn't have the money for it, I guess, would have been in the first episode where they have the two reptilians, the female reptile.
Oh yeah.
She just didn't look as awesome possum as the male did. Please, no one at home say, learn your zoology.
Yeah, Kevin.
Peacocking. I'm just talking about peacocking. But anyway, she just didn't look as impressive. It looks like they spent less money on her because they showed her less, maybe. I don't know. But the rest of them, yeah, like there was a lot of detail. The male, there was a lot more detail put into him. But again, you saw him a lot more.
Yep, and he also had killed Nick's very first partner, and then tried to make out with Nick at the very end of the episode.
And that's how life finds a way.
Yep. I will survive as long as I know I have love. I know I can't survive. I won't deny.
What he should have done was turned into O'Malley and been like, technically, it's not cheating.
Oh.
I watch too many stupid movies. I know.
Do you have any favorite episodes out of this batch? No, I don't know about like a 6-pack challenge. I love too many episodes. I couldn't do it.
No, there wasn't enough like consistency, I think, for the 6-pack. But golly, what did I like the most? That's hard to say. I need to look at the actual names. The Wish was okay. It was a good ending, but I can't say it was like my favorite. The Straw might have been my favorite.
Yeah.
Where is it? The Eve was probably my big favorite. The Years, Unspoken so far, was a lot of fun.
The Year Witch.
Yeah, I enjoyed that because you see that here and there in movies, but just bits and pieces, never like a full actual feature for it. So this was a lot of fun to see, like a whole actual episode of people like getting hunted and sucked dry.
Yeah.
It would have been cool if she worked for the tobacco company, though.
Ooh.
People at home, I smoke. Well, used to smoke.
Which is it, Kevin? Or do we need to send you to anger management class?
You couldn't pay me enough to be your shrink. And by the way, you have never seen a shrink in your life.
Does it count if she's wearing a thong and spinning around a pole at the same time?
Only if she actually had her master's.
Now, my dad was a cop, so I thought that was all extra funny because cops really do have fucking anger issues.
Yeah.
And where the lady asks him, what do you think brought you to this class? Nick's response was, probably a witness. His comebacks were just fucking amazing.
Well, I like the one of, well, what did it feel like when you hit them? Like a soft thud.
Like a soft thud.
I think she was asking how you felt, not what you felt. It was like a soft thud.
I don't remember the guy's name sitting next to her that was like trying to help manage the class, but I don't like it.
Yep. Because there's always somebody like that in one of those classes.
Yes. And
I've never sat in those, but I've heard this for years. So.
Oh shit. You look at God, what movie was it? Maybe Big Daddy, where John McEnroe's in the anger management class and he's pissed off because it's not sex addiction.
No.
Anyway.
I forgot about that.
You're welcome.
Trying to forget some of these goddamn movies, and Kevin keeps bringing them up.
Big Daddy and John McEnroe. Two things you should probably just be like, no, God. No. But do you have, okay, here's one for you. Do you have a favorite conversation, one-sided phone conversation for Carl?
Well, they weren't exactly like the first season where he had like multiple phone calls. So it was a little different for me to kind of pick out like a favorite phone call conversation he had. But I got the kick out of like when he was trying to hide from his ex-wife and be like, just tell I'm in Guam. I'm not around.
I'm not around.
Yep.
I also like, don't you put me on hold. Don't you dare put me on hold. Don't you put me on hold.
And then start slamming the phone down.
She put me on hold. Start slamming the shit out of it. Sorry,
We've all been there. Don't break your controller.
It's my daughter's, but it is still $70, so I should probably not do that.
Yeah.
My daughter would be real pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, and she, like one of these stressful little evil children from Arnie's episode, is one of the few creatures I'm terrified of.
I
She's
get a
cute.
kick out of that episode so much because of like the spoof on Barney. And we just had there was a Twitter exchange recently from Vincente on Twitter talking about like Death to Smoochie. And I'm like, well, there's technically kind of an episode about kind of like that movie and like riffing on Barney a little bit on Special Unit 2. That was kind of fun to talk about for a minute because it's like, hey, we're going to be talking about that on our show tonight.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, you can call it cheesy and campy or whatever, but it was actually really well done. Like Barney's cheesy as hell, and they crack jokes about it, like brace yourself, because it is so fucking jarring to sit and watch, and you understand it. They wrote it smart enough so you understand it's not campy and jokey. Or I mean, yes, they are joking, but it's not stupid. If it was, you wouldn't understand it. You'd be annoyed and turned it off. But instead, you're annoyed and you're just sitting there watching it, annoyed with Nick. And by the end of the episode, annoyed with everybody.
Yeah. Well, also in that particular episode, they actually use kids as criminals because he's basically acting as the Pied Piper, trying to convince these kids to commit like these high-level, complicated crimes. And when you see one of the actual crimes go down, it's actually pretty ingenious. Like the girl just happens to be walking by, she leans down, she makes her knee look like it's bleeding, and grabs a little pad and starts screaming like, oh, my leg, I fell. And it distracts like the guards while the kids are underneath and getting into the fucking money van. Or,
yeah, they're like unscrewing the bottom of the floor of the money truck.
Money truck, and they get the money out, and then the kid gets away, they all get away. It's like, that's actually really good. Because, I don't know, I just got a kick out of that so bad because it's like that's a very good use of how kids could pull off a scam like that.
Oh, sure. And who else better to do it? Hell. And I love their
what would have been
response.
funny is if Carl had been watching and been like, you know, that's actually really good. I'm going to use that on my next heist.
Oh, shit.
Or, hey, I should be taking notes. And then have somebody take away the notepad, throw it.
Carl made me a bit weepy, all kidding and joking aside, in the Eve episode where he thinks that he gets a hostage killed. Oh, my fucking heart broke for him. Like his face, like you felt it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then going back and telling Gant, change your guys' name to FU2. It's like,
yeah, he had no part of that crap anymore after that. He was like, that's it. I'm not going back in there. You guys can handle this on your own.
Here's your fake back. Maybe you guys want to change your name to FU2.
yeah, see, that's one of those moments where it's like, sure, it could be campy and cheesy, but there was a huge amount of emotion that you just felt there because of that.
And Carl would have that a few times throughout the season too. Like, especially when Nick is turning to stone in the Rocks episode and he's on the table and they don't know if they're going to be able to help him or not. And there's that moment with Carl where he's like,
Hey, O'Malley, it's Carl. I know we haven't always seen eye to eye. Maybe never. But I always thought of you as a stand-up guy. Even when we're beating the crap out of each other, I know it's with affection. So, keep a stiff upper lip. I had to get one in. Nick, a word of advice. If you happen to see a bright, white, beautiful light, avoid it. Stay away from the light. Do not go into the light.
Oh man, dude, this ain't cool. It has this really pensive moment to it, and I think it really works because of their relationship. Like, you know what? We're gonna beat the shit out of each other, but nobody else is gonna beat the shit out of you. Like,
Yeah.
That's my job. Nobody else, and this sucks. And I'm here for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Although, and then later on in a different episode, they just start talking about like this incident that Nick had with like his former captain's like mother at a birthday party. I'm gonna insert that clip in here like right now.
Serafini takes a walk outside to catch a smoke, and there's O'Malley.
Last chance to continue breathing.
On the patio, doing it with Serafini's mom.
I had no idea that's who it was. She looked 25.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
30 tops.
She was 60.
50.
Don't tell that story. Don't tell that story. I didn't know she was his mother. She's like 60 years old. No more than 50. Oh, it's so much fun.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
no, they great character work during this season, especially with Carl, Nick, and Kate. I really felt like they really stood out this season more than just about everybody, and everybody had some really good moments otherwise. And I really like Paige, especially when he got to hook up with the DA in that one episode at the very end, because of the convincing the judge to put a delay. Just tell the judge your dog is sick, got in an accident, and that gets a delay to the next morning. And then he ultimately ends up getting everything all squared away, and he gets a date with the DA.
With the DA.
Unless you're married or something. And he's like, no, dinner would be fine.
Right. The amount of dating going on in this season was pretty goddamn entertaining because none of the dates went well.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like Kate trying to help by not helping was fucking precious. It really was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get her a necklace. Yeah. Okay. So the genie gets inside of it.
Which was pretty clever. I didn't think they could get into a tiny little locket like that instead of, like, say, a Mork and Mindy lunchbox or something like that.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then what was the guy's name that bought it? The guy that's the recurring character that you like?
Jerry. Hey, you guys.
Maybe you could use it to wish away that. I can't even say it. It's not okay. I stutter, so I feel like I'm being ableist towards myself. Maybe you could use it to wish away that stutter.
Oh, she was just down to like 3 wishes left for the 1,000, and then she could have her free will.
I liked her.
Yeah, that was a good, fun episode.
The idea that the genie didn't have any magical powers, so she had to go out and commit all these crimes herself, was pretty
Like
fucking
legit,
hysterical.
yeah.
Like kidnap the supermodel and put her in the duffel bag.
That was so funny.
And when she gets out, first thing Jerry screams, "I love you!"
I have all of your posters.
So of course it looks twisted as shit.
Yeah. You have any fun with any other regular recurring characters or guest stars? I only have like one I definitely want to give a special shout out to. Was in the Rocks episode, Sebastian Spence, lead character from First Wave. In First Wave, he plays a character called Kate Foster. His wife is murdered by aliens. He's the subject of an alien experiment of sorts. He escapes, but he's a known thief in this show, and he's on the run from the government, from the aliens. You know, I could go down the plot. And ultimately, he's from Chicago, and I thought there could have been a fun, even if they could have done a slight little change and just named him Foster as like a first name and just kept calling him Foster. I think that would have been a nice tie-in, and you could have played a little bit with the character just to give a little nod to everybody else out there. He doesn't have to be Kate Foster, but just a little acknowledgement would have been fun. But I thought he did a fantastic job. He just got stripped down to his knickers and then almost turned to stone.
Would you be sad though? Would you have been sad?
Kate might have been a little sad.
Yeah. I kept like rooting for the Gorgon. I keep wanting to say Gugon. I keep
probably not sponsored by Gugon. It won't take it off, but it will get rid of it.
Or it'll make it hard. Oh, wait, never mind.
Oh,
the Gorgon, not Gorgons, Gorgon. It's so stupid. They're the snakes, the hair kept extending out, trying to bite the guy.
Yeah.
And I kept like rooting for it to go, like, get it, baby, get it. And I hate snakes, terrified of snakes. And I kept wanting it to like reach and bite the fucker.
All right.
No. It was still cool looking, but always kind of off-putting when those fucking when the wigs came off, because her hair wasn't as full as say Medusa was. So there was maybe like 13 snakes there, and it was just ugh.
I thought that was an incredible scene, great visual effect. And from time to time with some of the creatures, they had to go a little more on the CGI visual scale like that. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it really didn't. But like one of my favorites was like the Nemertines, the twins with the mouth on their on the front of their throat, and they ate the entrails of whatever, and they kept getting teased with like a T-bone steak, and one told the truth and one told the lie, and they had this fun spiel between Kate and Nick about who's really telling the truth and who's lying. And it almost plays like a Laurel and Hardy kind of sketch. And it's like, who's on first, what's on second, or whatever. That just so fucking funny. I still don't even follow the logic on that particular scene, but they ended up figuring it out.
You know who else I was gonna say before we left was the Fearmongers. They were fucking funny as hell. Yeah. Come on, this kid's gonna be home any minute. Get out of here, Carl.
I'm not gonna tell anybody. What, you want to put it in writing? Actually, yes, we want to put it in writing. It might be a crayon, but we're putting this shit in writing.
They had a crayon contract.
A crayon contract.
We will not tell the Scarecrow that what was it? We will not tell that it was the Fearmongers or something like that.
Yep, who ratted out the Scarecrow.
It was funny as hell. I liked them. They were cute, and their makeup was pretty cool looking too.
Oh, absolutely. And had John Delancey. We had some really fun people showing up in this season. Although conspicuous by his absence, I was missing Ming-Hua a little bit.
Yes, I didn't want to bring it up, but I was a little irritated by that.
I would have brought him back in the second half if possible. He might have been busy, or he wasn't able to make it out due to scheduling conflicts. But I still would have brought him back, because if you can bring Jerry with you, and you can bring a couple other random characters from the first season back, like you figure out a way to bring Ming-Hua back.
At least if not that character, at least the shtick of having the front.
Yeah,
because like they would show it, but nothing happened there. Like there was
some stock footage from the first season they reused.
Yeah, like the super fast forwarded point of view camera.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
he was sorely missed.
Yeah. Were you missing anything else from the first season, or did you feel like they did a pretty good job with the second season then?
I honestly felt like the second season was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it leaves you feeling, golly, why isn't it coming back? I like it. If this is something that has a chance to come back, I'd totally watch it. The characters are all 20 years older, so I mean, there's room for them to be in charge of SU2 now and have new characters doing the heavy lifting.
Absolutely. I'd love to see this band back together again. I think it'd be totally dope. Even like you just said, 20 years later, I think it'd be great. And I really enjoy this show. I had such a fun time. It really got the creative juices flowing for me again, and it's just one of those shows that just somehow just works for me. I love the banter, I love the dialogue, I love the overall stories, the overall characters, just how it all flows and how they finally started to incorporate more of a long-term story in this season, even though it didn't really pull through all 13 episodes. At least in the first 5 or so, it felt like they were building towards something, and I felt like they gave this show just a little extra spice into the mix to really add the flavor and bring it all out. And I know there's some changes. I was relatively fine with that. The only other thing I was kind of missing was they didn't even use red ammo once this
No,
season.
they
So they
didn't.
didn't get to blow shit up.
No,
they still blew shit up, but they didn't blow it up with red ammo.
yeah. Well, change of management. They can't have violence. Me.
Yeah,
Scary ass creatures, but no gun violence. Me.
it's either that or the budget got slashed at the Special Unit 2 corporate office.
That too. You don't. What are we doing? Paying by the laser now, Carl?
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, well, he's got to fight dragons, so everything's got to get modified.
Oh, that was so glorious.
Oh,
So
and he is 2 for 2 for fighting dragons. So, technically,
that's true. Like that was so. God, what was the name of that episode of Merry Melodies? Mickey and the Giant, or Mickey the Giant Killer,
oh, okay.
where he says he took out 7 giants with one blow. He was talking about 7 giant flies, and he just
Yeah.
like whacked them all.
Okay.
So everyone's like, he's a giant killer. Good thing, because there's a giant coming.
That's really funny.
Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
he took out the first dragon because it was a slippery roof. He just happened to be right near it, and it just fell off the roof because it was trying to munch on him, and it impaled itself on a spire back in the 1600s. And then this time around, he steps out a shovel, it goes flying, and the dragon chomps it in its mouth and kills itself basically by closing its mouth on the shovel as it goes through its soft palate. And Nick's just like, huh. Shit, he killed this other one. Even though it's a fluke and freak accident, he's like 2 for 2 now. Carl's a badass.
He really is a dragon killer.
Dragon Slayer. Slayer of dragons. 4th of his line, Master Killer of dragons. Carl the Gnome.
All I got is, I killed 7 with 1 blow. Sorry.
That doesn't matter. That's all pretty good. Oh my god, Kevin, we got one more proudly not sponsored by, and it's the snack you cannot miss when you go on a stakeout. It's Kit Kat bar, Kevin.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Kit Kat bar.
We are probably not sponsored by Kit Kat because they actually use they don't show the wrapper, but they're using Kit Kats on one of their stakeouts while dipping it in the coffee. Both Kate and Nick.
Is that what they were doing?
Yep. Somebody will probably say, no, that looked like a biscuit. No, that was a fucking Kit Kat.
Oh man, no, I want to do that. And it's like 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, you
Tomorrow.
want to eat a Kit Kat?
I can go eat a Kit Kat. I have a big bag of them right over there, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I'm itching for a Kit Kat after I saw that episode. So I'm like, maybe if I make another trip to the post office and got to swing by the store, maybe I'll grab a Kit Kat.
I dig it. I'm going to try that. But another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bookmark this until I can get my hands on the DVD set. I'm going to bookmark this because I like this. This will be a fun rewatch.
Yeah, if you're on Archive, there is the download option. You can download these episodes.
Oh, really?
So you can save them to your disk drive. Archive.org for everybody. That is set up as a preservation site. They make no money. They do have a little blurb right now about donating, just like Wikipedia does and whatnot. But it's just to cover server costs and to be able to keep doing what they've been doing for basically 25 years on the internet. They're mostly now if a copyright comes along and they say take this show off, they take it off. This one has been on there for several years. This is not coming off because it's got like the banners and it's not exactly pristine or anything. So I highly recommend going there, at least watching this on the player. It'll play right in the window, or you can also hit the download button and it'll download for you. You don't have to sign up, don't have to do anything. It's just right there. I do recommend the disc. The video looks a little bit better disc-wise. The audio is better disc-wise. And it belongs on a TV. Doesn't necessarily belong on a computer unless you're blowing up to full screen.
I watched it on my phone, so I was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it'll look even better on a phone at that point. So, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Go fucking watch this show. Y'all are gonna love this.
I'll make it worth your while. Me too. And if you're really lucky, maybe we'll make it worth your while at the same time.
You know, if someone's too persnickety to enjoy it because of that, golly, watch some regular ass TV. Or remember what it's like to watch regular ass TV. It's not that bad. It's really quite nostalgic.
Yeah, and that's probably where I was going with my next question was like, where do you feel the legacy is for this show? Do you think as far as like where it is today, not many people know about it, not many people talk about it. That's one of the reasons we do this podcast, is to talk about older shows that you may not know about, so you can now check it out for yourself and get the conversation going again. And if it leads to anything, it leads to anything. But if we just get to one person and they want to check out Special Unit 2 or any of our other shows that we've done, Ash vs. Evil Dead, Legend, any Space Above and Beyond, any of these other shows that we've done, if you've never heard of these before and we convinced you to go check one of these out and you become a fan, that is worth our time. Yeah, I'm a history guy. I'm total like sci-fi guy. Kevin is a big gamer and a big horror guy. Comic books. We got you all covered. We're all about just sharing our love and our fondness for some of these shows. And sometimes these shows suck. Like War of the Worlds. We had great memories as kids. Revisiting it now was not great. This is not that kind of a show. This is a show that is definitely a product of its time in the early 2000s. But there is something intangible with this show. There is charm. There's charisma. The writing is exceedingly well done. The special effects are great as far as practical. The CGI is pretty good. The music is great. The soundtrack is awesome. The score is even better. Like, you can't go wrong with this show. You really can't. Yes, it changes. It evolves as it goes into season 2. I think it ultimately would have been an even better show going forward, but I am pretty okay with where it ended. I think there is absolutely a place for this show. I wish some channel or like Tubi would get the rights to this and throw it up there. Pluto TV, any of these streamers or sites that need quality programming. Get off your ass. Get this show. People will watch it. It's a great show. And I definitely believe there's a place for it as far as any rebooting or remaking or just bring them back for a reunion movie at that point. I'd totally be down for a fucking like big budget film for this. I think it'd be hella dope, but this is more best suited for a television format, in my opinion. But I think there's a place for it now. Older show and something new again. Like, you could absolutely get back to this. I'd love to see Evan, John, and Joel back on point with Special Unit 2.
I would be all about that. I totally dug this. Where I rate this is what I would kind of dig to see in the future crossover is Special Unit 2 going after a returning Night Stalker. That would be cool as hell. I would dig that. But no, I attribute this and hold it in the same standards that I hold Kolchak, the same standards that I hold shows like Storyteller, The Real Ghostbusters, TV shows that really drew from history for their storytelling and did a great job of it. This is the last time I've seen a show like that. So I'd really like to see something else similar to this. It left a mark.
Absolutely left a mark, and it wasn't a stain. but it has a great memory, great focus. Absolutely. Please, everybody, check it out. Kevin, you got any final thoughts before we wrap it up? And real quick, everybody, no social media, no six-pack challenge. Doing things a little bit differently this time. And it's an older show. Even when it came to like Legend, we had a little struggle to get social media. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. But Kevin, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I'm just thinking of stains now. No, I want to go watch a Scarecrow movie, just something terrifying and creepy, because they did such a good job with the terrifying and creepy.
Well, in my opinion, like, just real quick, seeing the Scarecrow in a version like that on television was like, you know what? They can do a nice Scarecrow on Batman Begins and in the Gotham TV show, and ultimately we would get a very cool looking live action Scarecrow otherwise. Animated throughout the years always looked dope, but in live action, this is one of those first live action Scarecrows. I'm like, damn, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's as cool looking as the Scarecrow on the Messengers too.
Yeah.
Which the first Messengers was kind of caca, but the second one was really fun.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a monster this time instead of what's her name and some ghosts. HPV and ghosts. And anyway, baby.
HPV and ghosts.
Homewreckers and ghosts. No, the second one had a Scarecrow and Norman Reedus and boobies. So definitely check that one out.
All right. A recommendation from Kevin. My recommendation is go find this show. Check it out. Subscribe, follow wherever you are at, however you are catching us. We love you being on board with us. We are closing in on some fun numbers and enjoy everybody joining us. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
I'm not thinking straight. The DJ just played Vanilla Ice.
Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at sunsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.